Awesome. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on the time zone that you are in. If you want to say hi in the chat, I do see a lot of hellos, highs. Hello to all of you. Feel free to share where you're joining us from if you'd like to. And then we'll go ahead and get this kicked off. You'll notice that I'm here today along with my colleague, Courtney. Many of you may have heard from her before or maybe even spoken to her. But she'll be here as well throughout this process. Um, I'm going to actually go ahead and share my screen while you all are typing where you're from here. Okay, awesome. So, today, we are here to really talk about getting started with Read Theory, and we are really glad that you are here. So, whether you are brand new to Read Theory, or you just want to make sure that you're using it in a really effective way. This session is designed to help you feel really confident and ready to go starting tomorrow, right? My name is Chelsea Lopez. I'm a former special ed teacher as well as an intervention coordinator, along with many other titles because we all know what it's like to work in a school. But currently, I am the educator success manager here at Read Theory, and I also still coach high school cheer as well as stunt in my area, which is Raleigh, North Carolina. I did see Durham, so hello, very close to me. But hi to everyone else. I see Minnesota, Australia, Georgia, Missouri. So we are from all over, which is really exciting. The other thing I love to know is what grade levels you all work with. So you're going to see a poll pop up on your screen in just a moment. You might say, Chelsea, wait a minute. I work with a lot of different grade levels. Just choose which one your heart desires tonight, right? I know I worked K through eighth grade, but I spent most of my time with my sixth through eighth graders. So I would typically tend to lean towards middle school. Although now, like I said, I coach high school. So I guess I'd have to go ninth through 12th grade, which is crazy to think about. So I'm looking here at this poll and I'm seeing a pretty good mix. A lot of middle schoolers, whoop, whoop, hello. And then we also have our elementary and our high school. So it is so nice to have you all here today. We're going to make sure that you all are each getting something out of this as we think about maximizing read theory, as well as also thinking about, how do we really kick engagement up, especially at the start of a new school year or a new semester for many of us. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and end that poll now. And we are going to go back here and keep moving forward. A quick note before we dive in too deep, we are going to have some interactive moments where you'll be asked to share some opinions in the chat or some thoughts. So feel free to engage with us whenever your heart desires. And also, if you stay to the very end, you'll get a chance to win some Read Theory swag that you see on the screen here. So don't miss out on that opportunity. So before we start, I want to start with a quick game, a little warm up. And so, what you're going to see is a set of emojis on the screen. You can already see the first one here. And each set of emojis is actually going to represent a book title. So, when you think you know the answer, I want you to go ahead and throw that into the chat. And we're going to see how many you all can get right. So I want to make sure I have my chat pulled up here. So right now you can see this set of emojis. There is a wizard, a lightning bolt, and a school. So if you were to try to guess what book this was, what might you think? All right, I'm seeing some answers go in, and I did want to start us off a little easy. So I'm glad that some of us are catching on there, but you are all right. It is, oh, my little pointer's messed up. It is Harry Potter. So good job, everyone, on that. Now, the next one I'm hoping might be just a little bit harder. I try to make them levels, but also super fun game to play with students. All right. Our next one here, and in case you can't really tell what these emojis are, I will say them out loud. But this one might take you a second. You can see there is a child, corn, and running. So I'm going to pause here and just see, what do you think this book could be? And it's okay if you guess the wrong answer. It's all fun and games. And that might be a little hint. Okay. Oh, okay. Wait. I could see how you all would think of that. So I really do love that answer. I was going for the Hunger Games, just because, the corn represents the districts and the scarcity, and the running shows that survival aspect because the kids were forced to compete. But I also am loving some of these other answers. But it just goes to show, right? Like, these are good examples of how symbols can represent bigger ideas and also a multitude of ideas. Jade, you're killing me with the Children of the Corn. That's actually such a great guess. Was the scariest movie of all time when I was younger. But this one we were going with The Hunger Games, but still very good guesses. Now, the last one I do think is the trickiest. It is a lot more abstract. But you see an eye, a TV screen, and a zipped mouth. And I'll tell you right now, this is not a book that was exactly a beach read, but it is very well known. And again, think abstract. These emojis don't actually say, it's not like there's a book called ITV shh, but any guesses? And I might have stumped us. This will be the first time I ever had an emoji stump anyone. Giving it a guess. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share. And you all might be like, Chelsea, boo. Hopefully not. Oh my gosh, I didn't stump you. I see the right answer here. That is absolutely amazing. So, very good job. Hats off to you. It is 1984, right? So, when we think about this, it's that book about society where the government is always watching and it controls the information that people see and silences anyone who speaks out. So, like I said, not really a beach read, but it is very well known. And all three of these books are familiar, but the clues get more abstract as we go. And that's just like reading skills do, right? Which is a great segue into read theory because our passages are helping our students move from basic understanding to a deeper thinking. And so today we're going to cover a quick intro to read theory. We'll talk about how to set up your classes, add students best tips and practices, and how to really get the most out of the program without adding more work to your plate. We all know that you're busy, so we want to maximize your time. And we'll also take a quick look inside of the platform so you can see how it all works. Before we get into the how, I want to take a moment to kind of talk about the why behind read theory. So, at its core, read theory is built to improve reading outcomes for every student, not just the ones who are already on grade level, not just the ones who are below grade level. This is a platform that can be used for every single student, regardless of where they're at, below, at, or above. And that means that it's personalized learning, right? There's standards aligned content, there's immediate feedback for students, and there's also real time data for teachers. And so when we think, how does this actually happen? Well, when students first log in for the first time, they are taking a short pre assessment that's going to help determine their reading level. A question I see all the time is, how do I set the pretest? And you don't have to. It is automatically given to them as soon as they log in for the first time. Or if they log in the second time because they didn't finish it, it'll still pop up until they finish the pretest. And then they're going to practice with passages and quizzes that automatically adjust as they grow. So as they're getting answers right, it's going to start increasing that level. If they start making mistakes, it'll bring them back down. So it's constantly adjusting to meet them where they are. And then finally, you all as educators are able to track that progress, and you're not having to sit there and grade every single passage manually, right? It's done automatically for you. And once it's set up, as I said, the program does the heavy lifting. And you all will see in the chat, because I always forget to say this because I'm like, oh, you guys will ask questions, right? Please feel free to throw any questions in the chat as we go. At any point in time, we'll have a Q&A at the end, but if I see them, I can answer them as we go as well. And so, at the heart of the process is the content that students are interacting with. Our read theory passages are short, high interest fiction and nonfiction articles that are designed to build vocabulary, background knowledge, as well as those critical thinking skills. And this makes it easy to use read theory for warm ups or independent practice, or maybe even homework if that's what you all are looking for. And so, Now that you've seen a quick idea of why and the process, I want to help bring it all together by jumping into Read Theory and giving you a quick look at the process. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. Um, oh yes, Peter, look at you! Oh my gosh, somebody give Peter an ambassador shirt for Read Theory because we're going to touch base on that. But I love that you're already bringing that up. So when we are in Read Theory, the first thing you all are going to do is add a new class. You can add as many classes as you need. You can have students who are in multiple classes, but once you add a new class, you type in the name. I do recommend selecting the grade level, but it is optional. You can add co-teachers, and then you have settings that you can adjust. There are differences in the premium version, so while you still get so much great access to content with the free version, you can still use read aloud. You can allow your students to see their own growth. With premium, you also have that ability to turn off the ads, as well as limit those grade level ranges. So if you're like, I want my students who are in fifth grade to not go below third grade, but not go above seventh grade, you can set that range so that they're still working in the grade level that you want, and then you're able to create that class. Now, as you can see, we have a lot of classes here, so I'm not going to create a new one. But once you do create a class, and I'm just going to click on this one, for example, there are two different ways to add students to your class. If I click on add students, the first is you can manually add these one by one, but there's also a CSV. So if you're like, I just want to upload my entire roster at one time, you can fill out that CSV file and upload it. Now, if you are expecting your students to use single sign on, there is Google and there is Microsoft, for example. You want to make sure you do include their email, because something that we see a lot is if we create, I'm just going to go ahead and put my name here, Chelsea Lopez. You can see that it's already creating a custom username for me. But if the email isn't attached and a student then uses a single sign on, well, now they have a duplicate account, and you might say, I can't see their data. Where is it? And it's because that account might not be linked to your class. So if you are using those emails, a lot of times I'll see teachers just put the email as in the email as well as the username, and you are able to set the password yourself. So if you're like, that's going to be too complicated for them to remember, you could set a password. And all of this is on the CSV as well, so you can easily copy and paste things. Once you do add students on your own, you can you'll be emailed the login cards. Sometimes it goes to your spam, so I definitely recommend checking that. But you'll have that. Download it to your computer for safekeeping. And if you make any changes to any passwords, they'll send you a new login card for any passwords that you change. Now, the other option here, let's say that you're like, oh no, I have duplicate accounts. I definitely need to remove some, but I need their data right now. You can always, yes, login cards can be printed. Once they're emailed to you, you can download them, you can print them. They are there for you to use. Um, but if you have students who already have accounts, you can also just give them your class code. And so when they log in, they click their arrow, it'll say my teachers on their screen, and they can type in the class code and it'll automatically put them into your account. So if you have any students who I see someone said, I've been struggling with duplicate accounts, please reach out to us. We can help delete any old accounts for you, and they can always just sign up for your class with the class code, with their emails, or we can help with that as well. Um, let's see. If they had last year and the teacher added, or they were with the teacher last year, that history will follow the students. And if you have the free account, you can see up to the last 30 days. With premium, you're actually able to see their entire history. So you could see what they did last year and the year before, however long they've had Read Theory there. And so that is the quick way to get your students started up. As I mentioned, when they log in, they are definitely going to get that pre-test right away. So they take that. It's about 20 minutes. Again, it adapts with them to help give you that baseline. After they complete the pre-test, as soon as they complete their next quiz, that is when you're going to start seeing data populate in your progress reports. And so Our reports are newer as of lately. You might see a brand new design if you've seen these before, and I won't spend too much time going in these, but we can definitely include in our follow up. We did a webinar as well as some FAQs and videos on how to look at these reports. But again, once they complete that pretest and that first quiz, you're going to start seeing data here. You're able to see class data. So, um, for curriculum standards, again, that is a premium feature, but it really helps a lot with that curriculum alignment and standards and understanding a little bit more about where students are struggling. So you break it down across different reading comprehension standards, but you're also able to see, quizzes taken, how they're performing on those different quizzes, their grade level performance, their Lexile level performance, as well as how many knowledge points they're awarded. And we're going to touch base on knowledge points in a little bit, but you get a lot of data from that. You're also able to kind of see across your class, where they're at with their pretest, how they're performing currently, and a lot more information there. And you can see it from a class view as well as just a student snapshot. So if you're like, I've just really focused on Carl right now, again, you're able to see that data. If I look at his quiz history and I'm like, oh man, we got a 40% on this quiz. Let me see what happened here. You can actually click into it and get into review mode. And you're able to kind of skip through some different questions, see what they got right, what they got wrong. Now, from a student perspective, what you see here is what a student sees as well. So if they're getting answers wrong, it will share an explanation with them so they can actually start thinking about why did I make what where did I miss this answer? What could I have done differently? So it's a really great opportunity for self-reflection as well, but you're also able to see, okay, we got this question wrong. We're thinking about integration of knowledge. So it's giving you a lot of that data for you to see. Outside of progress reports, you also have your My Students tab. Now, this is going to give you every single student that is connected to any of your classes. If I'm looking at this, a few things. This green check mark, that means they've completed their pretest. Remember though, if they haven't completed their first quiz, the data doesn't populate until then. So if you're like, I'm not seeing the data, that's typically a good start if they just started. Now, if you see this little exclamation point, it means they haven't taken the pretest yet. And you'll also see login information. So sometimes you'll see, and this is a really good way to kind of figure out if you have duplicate accounts. So I can see here, Carly has never logged in. So I might want to check in. Why are we not logging in? Did we possibly, connect to our email if it wasn't connected here already? But it's a good way to get some additional insight. You can click on student progress to go to their data. But if you ever needed to have them retake the pretest, that is here. You can reset student progress if you're like, we don't need all their data. We want to start afresh. But if you reset, I just want to highlight it does delete all of their previous data. And you'll get a warning that lets you know that. But just to highlight that, again, you can set grade level limits with that premium. If you are like, this student's not my class anymore, I don't need to see their information, you can stop tracking them. You can update their usernames and you can also reset passwords. So a lot of times we'll see students who will message us and say, I can't remember my password. We're always happy to help, but if they tell you they can't remember it or they're having difficulty logging in, you can tell them what their username is. That's listed right here in the parentheses, and you can also reset their passwords for them just to make sure they have that access. The other piece of this that I did want to highlight really quickly is activities. And I know this was brought up in the beginning. So you are actually able to create new activities here. This recurring weekly one, if it's a premium feature, you'll see that highlighted here. So with premium, you can assign specific passages, you can start competitions, have them retake the pre assessment. But this recurring weekly activity is something that is available for everyone. There are slight caveats. I can say I want all of my students to take it. I might just choose one class. So I'll just choose this class right here. I'm going to proceed with those 21. Now, here's where the difference is. Everyone can set it where they can complete 5 passages a week. But with that premium version, I can say, I actually want them to complete 7, or maybe I want them to pass 7 quizzes. So you're setting that standard. And I can say I want it to start on Monday at 8 a.m. and end at 6 p.m. And it's going to go ahead and show those next four occurrences for me. So you can set those activities without thinking about it. And from this tab, and I'm sorry, I don't have an example here for you all to see, but it'll actually show you. If I click, it'll show the activity, the date range, and if I click the down arrow, it'll show me each student who's supposed to complete that and let you know, did they complete it, if it's in progress, if it hasn't been started, and a little bit more details there. So I know some teachers like to use that for their grade books, and that's definitely an option. So that is a very quick overview. The last thing I wanted to highlight really quickly in progress reports, just because I know it becomes a question many times, we talked about that data view. So if you ever feel like the data is inaccurate, again, if I have that free version, I'm able to see as far as the last 30 days. But if I only want to see last week, I can always adjust the state range and say, actually, I just wanted to see the last 7 days or whatever it might be. So you all do have that flexibility. So if you're like, I want to see how many knowledge points they got in 1 week, you're able to change that date range, and see a little bit different data rather than seeing that data from all time. But if you're like, I actually want to see where we've been all school year, again, for those premium users, you're able to see a lot more data from that perspective. So I am going to pause here on this quick demo. Again, I know it was very quick and jump back into our slides as we're closing out. Um, so I do see a question here. Can students be grouped within a class? When you are assigning those activities, you are able to select specific students from within. So I'm just going to show this, for example. Right now, what we see a lot is you might create a separate, like a separate class, and have those students join that one if you were like, these students are going to have it every single time. But if I do click on this, I'm actually able to say, I don't want all of these. I really just want Denise and Emily to take this. And so I can actually only select a few students within that class. So you can decide based on your groupings how you want to do that. Um, awesome. So with that, I'm going to jump right back in here just as we start thinking about strategies to keep our students engaged in our last few minutes together. One of the easiest ones is setting those recurring activities. Many teachers will use this if they're thinking, sometimes they'll do Read Theory Fridays, or they're doing 10-minute warm-ups, or they're doing independent reading time. And they're like, we just want to make sure that the time that you're given, you're completing those 5 complete passages. And like I said, you set it once and it runs automatically. I showed you what it looked like, so we're able to kind of skip through those. But this is a great example of what it looks like when you actually have assigned an activity. So I'm able to see where each student is and when they finish and that kind of thing. So you're able to keep track of that data over time, which again, the passages are auto assigned unless you assign a specific passage. The quizzes are auto graded, so it allows you to really focus on instruction rather than that paperwork. Now, another strategy we see a lot is using knowledge points. And we think about this from a motivation standpoint. Knowledge points is how Read Theory tracks and rewards student growth. So, students are actually able to earn points for correct answers, for passing quizzes, as well as just overall strong performance. And so a lot of times we'll also see teachers say, I actually want to set a goal for my students and tell them each week we recommend completing 100 knowledge points, which that equals about 5 past quizzes a week. So you could definitely set 5 past quizzes, and that should be equivalent to about 100 knowledge points a week. But it makes it achievable. And this is something that works well across all grade levels. And then oftentimes we'll start seeing teachers get creative when they start thinking about weekly goals, and they'll turn it into a challenge. I've seen some teachers who will play like beat the streak sometimes, and they'll say, hey, actually, let's see how many quizzes we can pass in a row, which helps prevent students from just kind of clicking through answers to get through it. And then also thinking about celebrating other milestones with like shout outs or small rewards. I've seen in some of our lower grades, they'll actually have like their classroom store, and they'll look at their knowledge points for the week, and however many knowledge points they get to use as like reward bucks, and they can buy things from their classes. So I know I use that in middle school still. My students loved Takis. And so I would make Takis like the highest payment ever. I used Lopez bucks back in the day, but knowledge points works just as well, right? And so you can kind of have them use that. You earn them, you get to spend them. These are how you can. But when we think about this, it's really this idea of consistency. That's what matters more than perfection. And as they are, being motivated with those knowledge points from the student perspective, they're also able to see their progress. And so they're earning badges with those goals that they're meeting over time. Um, and as we are going through this, the last thing I wanted to highlight is thinking about that progress report. And so using that progress to highlight individual growth, the grade level or Lexile gains, and just effort. A lot of times we like to encourage reflection, like maybe what was the hardest passage for you this week, or which strategy helped you the most. And so we'll see a lot of reflect and resets. So you're encouraging students to set their own goals, as well as building ownership for their own growth. Um, I'm going to just kind of skip through some of these so it's not too repetitive. But to make this easier, we're also going to share this getting started checklist so that you can implement this step by step. It's very easy. Welcome to Read Theory. If you look at the version on the computer, there are also links that help take you to FAQs. So it's step by step guides. Yes, this is recorded and it will be shared with you all afterwards. And then the other piece that I just wanted to highlight really quickly when it comes to Read Theory is just if you're wondering if this approach works. Because that is a question, right? We want to make sure that whatever we're using in our classroom is actually going to help us be successful. And the data speaks for itself, right? We're seeing Lexile growth, we're seeing teacher recommendations. I even saw Peter put in the chat, like, it's great. I use it all the time. Thank you so much. So we are definitely seeing a lot of those results. It's flexible. So we're seeing teachers use it in ELA, they're using it for test prep, interventions, ESL, more, a lot of different ways to start integrating Read Theory into your school day and with your students. Now, we work a lot with our educators because we are always looking to grow and improve so that we can still make it simple for you all to use as well as engaging for your students. And that will never change. And so before we close out today, I also wanted to share this quick Google form. We, like I said, are always listening to you all and we'd love your input. So if there are any passage topics that you think we should add, anything that your students have been talking about lately, we strongly encourage you all to fill out this form and we are going to start creating more passages for your students. So if you're like, Chelsea, I heard you on Talkies, I will say I actually made one for my students one time. They had to read all about how Talkies were made. So you can definitely let us know if there are any topics that would be great for your students there. And then I'm going to go ahead, make sure there are no questions because I did see one I want to make sure I answer. But if you all are interested on informations for school plans, we do see a lot of schools who are looking for that premium access. Maybe there's a few different teachers who are already using it and it makes it easier to kind of look at whole school data. So if you are interested in school plans, you want to learn more, you can check that out, request more info, scan this QR code, and a member from our team will actually reach out to you to help you get some more insight on that. Now, as I look here, I do see this question. Are there any activities that help students improve their reading skills, or are they only taking quizzes? So that is a really great question. Now, when we think about that, they are taking quizzes, but again, it's designed to meet them at their level and talk them through it. So when you're looking at the curriculum standards, that's when you're able to look a little bit more at, well, where are the areas that our students are struggling? A few different ways that we help support that. We do have passages that can be assigned specifically based on different standards. So if they're struggling with integration of knowledge, you might assign that specific passage. We also do have lesson plans that you might consider using. And every month we are hosting a webinar all about different skills that we're focused on. I'm gonna just kind of actually highlight that right now while we're talking about it. So last month we did one all about context clues and main idea and how to, or not context clues, main idea, central idea. And we talked about what are some different things you can do with your students to help improve that. This month, we're hosting one all about making literary elements make sense. So if you're looking for more ways to really continue to support them as far as like that teaching perspective as well. Definitely come check that out. We send out newsletters and also hosting these to give you all a lot of great ideas about how we can help support our students even more. So, if you want to keep learning with us, be sure to register. We're doing another webinar on test prep, so a lot of different ways to get a lot of information on how to support your students. I'm looking just to see if there are any other questions that I might be missing, but I see some answers for some of these in the chat. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and jump to our chance to win. Thank you all so much for your participation in the chat. I'm going to flip the screen over really quickly so we can see who might be winning.
Yes, I've been secretly adding everybody's names here to a duck race. Each of you are a duck. Ready, set, go. Swim, swim, swim.
So, Mary, you are our winner today. So, I'm going to just go ahead and throw into the chat. I will say it's a lot of fun. I've used that with students as well. So if you're just looking for more ways to kind of use different things with students, that is a great opportunity. So Mary, I'm going to throw this in the chat really quickly. I will need your name, address, your shirt size, as well as your shirt preference. I say this every webinar. So if you guys have been with me before, you're probably like, oh, Chelsea, get new material. But I really do love that Never Mess with the English Teacher t-shirt. It just makes me laugh, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I could see my teachers wearing that." And I was also kinda like that goofy teacher that my students were like, "Ah, you're so corny, Miss Lopez," but they love it, right? They eat it up. It makes them so happy. So, feel free, again, send me that information, and we'll get that taken care of. Otherwise, I want to thank you all so much for joining us. You will receive your CEU credit reminder. You'll also get a recording of this as well as the getting started checklist. So check that out. And please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out if you all have any questions. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever time of day it is for you all. And hopefully, we will catch you all at the next webinar. Bye, everybody.